The wind is kind of blowing today. Not sure if I want to film out here or not. My hair is all over the place. Ow! Stick. Anyway, so I guess what this video is going to be about is about seven ways I process and deal with negative thought patterns. Negative thought cycles. Sorry, the sun is getting in your eye. If I turn the other way, the sun is going to get in my eye. And then we're both fucked. But, anyways, stay tuned. Came back inside. So much warmer inside. Let me go up to my room real quick. I have a selfie stick now. But number one. I have it like written on my hand here. Alright, so number one. Number one is journaling. And some of you may, already be into journaling. I keep 2 journals, but it has helped me immensely. Like, the one thing that has helped me the most, besides number 2, which number 2 probably should be number 1. Regardless, number 1 is journaling. It's written on my hand. Probably the second most influential thing that I have done in my self-improvement journey is journaling. It has, so I keep so many. I keep 2 primaries. One is for early morning, and during the early morning when I do my journaling, it is have you ever woken up on the wrong side of the bed and it just like influenced the majority of your day after that? Like, you wake up kind of not in a good mood and don't really know why, right? And then everything kind of just goes downhill after that. Well, with journaling, I have been able to place or find my key triggers on why I am feeling the way that I am feeling, and then I am able to process it better and then let it go. Number 2, my PM journal is primarily what I use to document my negative triggers throughout the day. So let's say something happens and it was complete shit and I get into this negative thought cycle, right? So at the end of the night, I will journal what was that trigger and what it made me feel like. Also, sometimes I will try to recognize in my past where that trigger truly lies, because it may not be that day, maybe you got into a fight with your significant other, right? Which I'm going through right now. And you realize through journaling and through the rest of what's on this list that sometime in, when you were growing up, you have had this traumatic thing happen that you've been carrying with you this entire time, which has been influencing your relationships, your communication, literally everything, and you have no idea that it's even there. So that's journal number 2. I also keep a bullet journal that I use to correctly plan out my day so that it's not all in my head. So I'm not getting so, rushed around, right? In my brain, trying to think of what I need to do that day. I'm more clear-minded when it comes to that kind of stuff. Anyway, that's journaling. Right, number 2 is meditation. Meditation should have been number 1 for me because it was through meditation that I have basically built the rest of this list. Like all of this stuff, self-improvement and the journey of self-improvement is basically taking little bits, little positive bits, in throughout your life that you have known was good for you, but there was just some sort of blockage within you that laziness, procrastination, stuff like that. Through meditation, oh boy, don't get me started on meditation. Meditation has been the single most important aspect in my whole self-improvement journey. Through meditation, I have whenever I have a trigger come up, whenever I have a negative thought cycle, whenever I can't seem to get out of my head and nothing seems to work, the rest of this list doesn't work, it's meditation that always holds the answer for me. Because the answers are already within you. You just got to dig deep and really let your thoughts be thoughts and not over-identify with them. So usually through a negative cycle, it is we have one single thought, one single trigger that brings us back into a moment of our lives that we don't want to be in. Just, like maybe a traumatic experience when we were younger, or stuff like that, right? Through meditation, and a lot of people have this negative connotation with meditation itself. Many people think that meditation is silencing your mind. I did too for years. For years, I was just trying so hard to silence my thoughts in my head through meditation, and it never worked out for me. It's not the act of silencing your thoughts. It is the act, this is how I meditate. It is the act of detaching. Let's say your thoughts are right here, right? Detaching from your thoughts, taking a step back, letting them still come into you, recognizing that you are having these thoughts, but not over-identifying with them. Think of the thoughts in your head when you're meditating as like clouds, right? And they just drift away. You can tell what that cloud is, you can tell what that thought is, but you are not that cloud. You are not your thought. The more that you do this, the more that you let the thoughts be, but not identify with them, the more that your mind will start to silence them. Because the majority of all this, all the negative thoughts that you're having is ego-based. So somebody hurt me, something hurt me in the past. I don't like it, so then I will start feeling a certain way about this situation, which will then in turn make me think more negative thoughts that carry the same accurate vibration of the previous thought, but slightly different. And then you start identifying with that thought. And then it cycles. The more you think about something, the more that you're going to feel it. The more that you feel something, the more you are going to attract the same type of vibrational thoughts, the same type of vibration in your thought patterns. So meditation is not just silencing your thoughts. That will come. It takes a lot of practice to get that way, but the end goal of meditation should not be silence of the thoughts. It should be detachment from the thoughts. You can still have the thoughts. You are just not the thoughts. And whatever the thoughts say to you, like, I'm unworthy, somebody hurt me, and I hate them, or stuff like that. The more that you take a step back from them, the more that they silence themselves, because you're not holding them to your truth, if that makes any sense. Number 3. Oh, okay, so this one is a really good one. I just found out about this maybe, I don't know. Here, let me go get a drink of water real quick. I could pause it, but I'm not going to. I guess I could still talk over here. I have a mic connected to me. All right. Number 3 are anchor points. And I wasn't aware of anchor points for the longest time. Think of a trigger. And if you don't know what a trigger is, it is a key piece in your mind. So every time we have an experience, whether that be a really good experience. Okay, so you have kind of a spectrum of emotions, right? On one side of the vibrational scale, you have unity, the consciousness, joy, happiness. And then on this side over here, you have pain, suffering, anger, hate, blah, 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 with very intense emotions. So over here is not that intense. So the more intense the emotions, the more that your mind is going to create what's known as a trigger. So anytime in your life, for me, a trigger doesn't have to necessarily be a negative thing. For me, if I smell a rose, that would be a trigger for me to go back into a moment of my life that I remember clear as day, of my grandma deadheading her rose bushes. And that was a really sweet, that's a sweet trigger. That's a nice memory. Some triggers aren't so nice. If something happened to you in your past and you haven't properly healed from it, you will most likely have a trigger to which maybe your old partner was very aggressive and liked to yell to get their point across. And you left them, and now you're carrying that same. As soon as somebody yells, you are going to be placed back into a moment of your life that you don't want to be in. Anchor points to me are conscious, physical, or mental movement that you could take to positively raise your vibration by placing you into a moment of your life that you were the happiest. Like that last video that I made, I meditated after that, right? And I came up with this anchor point. So after that video, after I have already dealt with, the fear of posting, the fear of whatever I was going through at that time, I felt super elated. I felt empowered. I felt like I was doing my soul purpose, my mission in life. So when I got home, or maybe the next day, I did a meditation to where I would focus wholeheartedly, like as much as I could. I would focus on that feeling of elation. And then I would continuously, this is my anchor point. You guys create your own, everybody creates their own. But my anchor point is flicking whatever negative thought that I have out of me, just like, and saying in my head, let's fucking go. And even right now, I feel my vibration increasing. But it's taking like conscious based movements to project your your emotional status into that of a higher vibration by taking you back into the highest vibration that you've experienced. But you have to consciously do this. Like a lot of triggers are unconscious based. It's like your neural networks in your brain create these as a protective measure so that you can see. And hey, sometimes it's a good thing. If you have a trigger about maybe you've been robbed before and now you're in Skid Row in LA, and well, if you've been robbed before, you would probably not go to Skid Row in LA. But you're just walking down the street and you see this hooded guy, right? Pull something out of his belt and then kind of jog a little bit to you. And you get like freaked out and you're like you're ready to go. That's a good situational trigger. I don't want to say that's a good trigger because that is not a good trigger. But triggers can have their place in us as long as we allow them to be there but not focus solely on them, and work on healing the parts that don't need the trigger to be there. Like for relationship things, let's say you've had a partner in the past. This is my experience. You've had a partner in the past who would constantly yell and never let you get your point across. I have recently known or recently realized that I have a trigger to where if I am feeling unheard, I start raising my voice. Because in the past, when I felt unheard, it's because somebody was talking so loud, yelling at me, that I could not be heard in that situation. So I developed this yelling and projecting my energy more so to be seen, to be heard, to be noticed, to have my feelings validated and appreciated. Anyway, that is, what was it? Anchor points. Okay. Number 4. 4? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4. Number 4. Number 4 is something that you're probably already doing. If you are not doing it, please do, because you will probably die. Hey, it's 444 right now. Breathing. 4 and 444. 4 4 4s. Oh, I don't know what that means, but it probably means something really good. But number 4 is breathing. Probably already do this. If you're not doing it, please do. It is a key element to living. You know, we have to breathe. But as a living organism, we have to breathe. But we also, in situations where we are in a negative cycle, our body is so under stress and in survival mode that our breathing starts to increase, our heart rate starts to increase. We get slightly defensive, like somebody is attacking us. So our body naturally develops this sort of, well, it's flight or fight response. Breathing through a negative cycle really has helped me to the point where now if I am feeling an emotion that I'm not too proud of, for one, or that I know will get me deep into a negative cycle, I breathe. Breathing slow, consciously. Breathing slow and consciously puts your body and your mind at kind of a ease, if you will. It will slower your heart rate, it will slower your breathing because you're consciously doing it. It will provide your body with oxygen, which you are probably lacking at this point because you're breathing so heavily. So your veins will start constricting in a negative cycle. There's a lot of biological things happening in your body when your thoughts aren't allowing you to breathe in your mind. When there's just so many repetitive thoughts that it feels like your own mind is attacking you, that is when you breathe. There's a multitude of breathing techniques out there. The main one that I use is 4-7-8 method. So you inhale for 4. Hold for 7. Exhale for 8. And then repeat. There are, like I just said, there are a multitude of other ones. There's 4-4-4, which is called box breathing. So you inhale for 4, you hold for 4. You also exhale for 4. There's the 3-6-9 method, which will give you slight, like an energy boost, if you will, because your body wants oxygen, and if you are only inhaling, don't only inhale just like 3, no, like fully inhale, but like really intensely. So see, I'm already kind of feeling a little. You will probably get a little high too, because oxygen deprivation. But in this instance, if you are in a negative cycle, that is the most beautiful thing because it stops your brain from thinking. If your brain isn't getting that much oxygen, and I am not advocating go and, strangle yourself or asphyxiate yourselves in order to get out of that. No, just consciously breathe through whatever you are going through, right? That is breathing. That is 4. On to number 5. Number 5. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't know what voice that is. I also put on my purple light, my purple ring light. I don't know why. Just a random thing. I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna turn that on. Number 5, all right, goes kind of with journaling, but to the point where you don't have to necessarily do this all the time. Journaling for a daily practice is a really good practice. Like, if I were you to start, I would meditate and journal and practice breathing techniques. But number 5 is brain dumping. Brain dumping to me is the practice of getting a piece of paper whenever you're in a negative cycle, getting a piece of paper and a pen, a pencil, a crayon, a marker, sorry, I'm burping. Anything that you can write with, and quite literally write down every single thought that you are having until the cycle stops, or until your brain, your hand cramps up, your brain cramps up, and your thoughts start kind of dissipating, the cycle starts ending. Brain dumping is really good for the fact that when you are stuck in a negative cycle, you have so much negative thoughts just right in your brain, right? And there's no outlet. You have no outlet. So you are reverting back to a triggered point, a traumatized version of you that you can't really get out. The art of brain dumping, just spewing all of those thoughts on the paper so that you can physically see what your mind is saying to you. Quite literally puts your thoughts onto paper and gets them out of your head. There have been multiple times in my life where I've had a negative cycle and I started brain dumping for 5 minutes. Only took me 5 minutes. Multiple times it takes me 5 minutes or less. It honestly doesn't take that long. But it is the art of getting the thoughts that are troubling you onto paper. And then once you start just putting all of your thoughts on paper, your ego doesn't want that, because you will start noticing that these thoughts are either tied to one specific trauma that you've had in the past, or that just don't exist anymore, or that it's what people have told you in your past that no longer are in your present, so why even listen to it? It shows you that the thoughts that you are having may not be as correct as what you were feeling. That is number 5, but it is a major one to stop a negative cycle. And I want to make this clear because a lot of people, this is very hard too for people. Okay, I'm kind of getting tired of this. Oh, now that's just horrible looking. A lot of people have trouble remembering, for a good reason. I mean, if you're in a negative cycle, it's going to be super hard to remember to do these things. That's why I suggested making journaling a daily practice, making writing a daily practice. You could even do a video log and just spill all your thoughts and all your emotions to the camera, and then go back later after your negative cycle is done and really see the emotions and see what needs to be taken in order to prevent that next time, or to just dissolve all these negative stereotypes that you are holding with yourself, all these negative self-labels that you're telling yourself. It shows you that these thoughts aren't you, and they all come from a previous you, maybe, but they're not you currently. And you are going back into the past you, which does no longer exist. You need to take back the present moment. You know what I'm saying? That's number 5. We have only 2 more. This is a long video. Number... Glad I wrote this. Number 6. Follow joy. This is a really hard one for people to do. A lot of people don't know what they truly like doing. A lot of people aren't experimenting with life to find what truly makes them happy. But if you can take, let's say you like going out into nature. Let's say you like going out for a walk. Let's say you really like working out, and all of this stuff you really find passionate, or you really find passion for. Use these things to take yourself out of your head, to put yourself into a natural flow state, because flow state comes from passion. Flow state comes from something, from an action that you love doing so much that you are so present with that you have no other thoughts. You are just being, you are just doing. Follow your joy. If you are having a negative thought cycle, I suggest going out and taking a walk if you find joy in that. I don't know what you find joy in, but for me, I like going out and taking a walk. It clears my head. I like going out into nature. I like touching and hugging trees. I like looking at little pretty plants. I like talking to you. I like helping people. I like sharing my message. For me right now, I have no negative thoughts because I'm actually doing my purpose. I'm doing what I find joy in. And that's what we need to do. The more we find joy in the little things in life, the more our negative thoughts start ceasing to exist, because you can't have both sides of the spectrum. You can't have joy but feel slightly depressed. It's either one or the other. Once you stop feeling that joy, you might go back into a depression. Or once you are depressed, you might find joy in a certain thing that you're doing, but you can never have both. You can never be depressed and joyful. You can never be depressed and happy. You can never be sad about doing something you love. So do something you love. Which one is this? Number 6? That was number 6. Follow your joy, follow your passion, follow anything that your heart is bullying you to. You know, just do you, just be you. And it will bring you naturally out of a negative cycle. Last one, number 7 in this list is grounding. Going out into nature, onto the grass, going out and hugging a tree, walking barefoot in the sticks and the leaves and the mud, connects your field to that field of Gaia herself. It connects you. This is a common grounding technique that I do when I need to. I should probably do this a lot more, like maybe daily. You should probably do it daily too. But you go outside. You get barefoot on the grass. You could get even naked, you know. Do what your heart, follow your joy. If your body is like, let me be free, let it be free. But you go out there into the grass, you stand there fully proud and erect, and picture like a beam from the sun coming down into your crown chakra, all the way into your root, going out from your feet into the earth, connecting you to the universe and to the planet herself. One continuous being. The sun, the me, the you. Another common thing that I do too is stare at a candle flame. Just stare at it for 5, 10, 15 minutes. You can sit cross-legged, you can stand up, you can sit on a chair. You can put it on your desk. Just put a candle on your desk and light it up, and watch it. Be it. See how it dances in its freedom to just be. And then the more you do this, the more I suggest shutting all the shades so that there is no excess light and it's just you, darkness, flame. And then just stare at it for a little bit. And then I would say maybe 30 seconds to 45 seconds of just staring at it. Personally, 45 seconds of staring at a candle flame, I have zero thoughts whatsoever. Zero. And I'm not making that up. It's just I stare at a flame for about 45 seconds and I am in complete oneness with the present moment, with staring at this flame. And it doesn't even have to be a real flame. It would be really good for a real candle, you know. But you could also put on your television. You could put a fireplace on your television and just watch flames rise. It brings us back to this primal instinct of being one with nature, being one with the elements. What was that? That was a 7. That was 7 ways that I personally overcome negative thought patterns. I hope that these have been beneficial to you. If anything, I could revert back whenever I'm having a negative thought cycle and rewatch my own video, and then help my future self out. My past self helping my future self out. Use this as kind of like a little journal entry too. Anyway, I hope you guys have. There's the phone. Perfect timing. I hope you guys have a blessed day, and I love you.